Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host, Greg Armstrong. It's championship or bust for the Knicks. Have we seen the last of Chris Bosh? And what are the realistic expectations for the Knicks this upcoming season? Coming up on Knicks Home Court. All right, we're going to get into some Knicks news. First of all, the Knicks re-signed Lou Amundsen. He's a very good hustle player. You know, you like to have him on your team. I'm glad he's back. Lou. That's all I got to say about it. But he might, every now and then, he pull down 17 rebounds. He's going to give you optimal effort. He's a guy who's stuck in the league based off just effort and hard play. So you got to respect that. The New York Knicks had their presser the other day, and not much, you know. I mean, like I said, what's the difference between the press conference now and the press conference after they made all their moves? Just about the same. There's no games being played. But there was a funny moment during the press conference.
Tom Ariam, Sports Final Radio. What would constitute a successful season for the Knicks this year?
Championship.
No lie. That was no mistake. Phil Jackson, they asked him what would constitute a successful season, and he said championship. And it appeared that everyone was speechless after that. It was pretty funny just listening to it. It was just silence. And you see Jeff Hornacek looking at Phil like, say something else, Phil. To Phil's credit, he cleaned it up a little. You know, I mean, it's not really cleaning it up. I mean, that would be a successful season. That is a fact. Phil he spoke a fact. And then he said, you know, for all 32 teams, this is what we would all want. Every team wants a championship. That's what constitute a successful season. So he did clean it up, but it just felt it was just funny just looking at it. I thought that was a funny moment. Other takeaways from the press conference. Jeff Hornacek seems very excited. Now, he's actually seen them run up and down the court, so he's seen some things that we haven't seen. You know, he believes they're going to be healthy. I mean, of course, that's what a coach should say. But, you know, he seems fairly excited about this season. The Knicks seems excited. Steve Mills seems giddy. You know, even if you're really paying attention, Phil Jackson is low-key being kind of snarky in some of the things he's saying. At one point, he looked at Steve Mills and said, "Well, how have you been doing, Steve Mills? Since the president doesn't know what he's doing. He's doing a bad job. You know, he's having fun. So he's kind of the Knicks appear to be confident. Again, they're seeing things that we're not seeing. The season will begin. We can get rid of all the hype. We can get rid of all the talk. The season will be upon us before you know it, and so will the winter, which I'm not looking forward to. But you know." I mean, there's really nothing to talk about in the Knicks land. I'm excited for the season. I can't wait for it to start. All the speculation can stop, and we can get right into the thick of things. You know, I'm just excited. I'm just as excited as they are. You know, I mean, that's all I got. I mean, there's not really anything happening besides the teams practicing together. Brandon Jennings has been working out with Phil Jackson. I'm sure Phil Jackson like watching him and saying, hey, you know, these are the points you need to be at, and you know, little things like that, you know, and that's good. That's all good. That's all good. All I know is I'm hyped for the season. I'm ready to see it start and see Porzingis and I can't wait. Anyway, that's it for Knick news. We're going to get into NBA news next. All right, we're going to get into the NBA news. Well, very sad. Hopefully the news can get better about Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh took a physical for the Miami Heat, and he failed the physical. They're saying he still has blood clots and things like that. And, you know, I have two conflicting feelings about this situation. On one hand, he's a great player. You want to see him. And I would like to see the Miami Heat with his guidance. You know, I would like to see the Miami Heat playing with a star player and Chris Bosh next to the center. I always get his name mixed up. I'm just going to say the center because I'm not a Miami Heat fan. Forget that. The center. What is it? Whitehead? Blackhead? nah, I'm just joking about that. Hassan Whiteside. So, you know, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see how Winslow would be. You know, they need that guidance. He's a champion. He's their best player. And unfortunately, it doesn't look good. It looks like he may not ever play again. It's a possibility. But I'll say this. Chris Bosh, you've had a great career. You're a borderline Hall of Famer. If they're telling you your health is in jeopardy, like your life is in jeopardy, man, you've made your money, got a beautiful family, a beautiful wife. I think it would be best for you to step away from the game if your life is at risk. It is just a game at the end of the day, and I'm sure your family, they're supporting you in all of your efforts at this point because they know this is what you want. Your wife knows this is what you want. But at the end of the day, it might be best for you to step away from the game. You know, as sad as that would be. You know, the same thing happened. It has happened to other players, but we don't want a Hank Gather situation in the NBA. That has never happened. You know. Other NBA news. Kevin Durant is still a sucker. Yes, I said it. And I stand by it and I stand on it. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. My man left OKC. Russell Westbrook's supposed to be your boy. You ain't give him the heads up. Okay, I let that go. All right, I understand you didn't give him the heads up. No problem. But here we are, a month before the season? About a month before the season. And they asked Westbrook about you. Are y'all still cool? Are y'all still friends? And Westbrook was like, I haven't spoken to them. And I'm sure Westbrook is like, I'm not picking up the phone and calling him. I know sometimes us men, we get into some foolish pride, but the truth is, he doesn't need to call him. I feel like Kevin Durant owes Westbrook a call. Hey, bro, you know, what's up? How you doing? You know, I wish you good luck. It was great playing with you. Something, not a call at all. So either one or two things. You didn't really like Russell Westbrook or playing with Russell Westbrook, or you're just a sucker. Either way, I don't think it's grown up. You know, I don't think it's an adult thing to do. You look a man in the eye and you let him know, look, it's been real, it's been good. I'm going to move on. Period. I don't understand. It just shows to me a little bit of a lack of character and a lack of heart. I'm just saying, this is just what I'm observing. You know, you've been with somebody all that time, and then all of a sudden, you know, you out and you can't even give a courtesy call. You do that to people you don't like. You do that to employers. You do that to just ex-girlfriends and stuff like that. You don't do this to supposed to be your boy. You just diss Mark Cuban for him. And now you're just going to leave just like that? I don't know. Feel a little funny about that right there. But anyway, that is the end of the NBA news. Now we're going to move on to the next topic of the week. All right, now we're going to get into the next topic. What are the realistic expectations for the Knicks this season? Vegas has us at 38 wins. And I don't know what to think of that. I mean, we won 32 last year. And we've added much more talent. I mean, literally, at their worst, they're better than what we had last year. But the best ability is availability. So if these guys are hurt, I guess that's what that comes. I guess 38 wins is saying that Derrick Rose is going to be hurt. Noah's going to not be as good as he was in the past. Things like that. I think they're banking on injuries and unforeseen things, and I can't do that. As I can't predict injuries. I'm not going to throw. I always look at how I calculate these things is I think of definites and maybes and ifs. Like if it's too many ifs, I don't really like a team's chances when I have a bunch of if this guy does this and if this guy does that, if Derrick Rose does this but one thing I'm not going to do here is I'm not going to factor in injuries if they're healthy. Look, they have talent. I'm going to assume that they're healthy. Just like everybody's assuming that Stephen Curry will be healthy, even though he has ankles that every year he has a problem with them. But every year they assume that he's going to be healthy and nothing's going to be wrong. So I'm going to assume that the Knicks are going to be healthy. Now, disclaimer, people will say, well, he's played a lot of games. Well, you know what? Derrick Rose played 66 games last year. So anyway, I'm not going to get into the health issue. We all know about that. Looking at this team, I'm going to base their possible win total on last season. Last season, they won 32 games. They had Calderon at point guard. They have upgraded compared to Calderon. I mean, Derrick Rose is already really a great player. But compared to Calderon, one leg of Derrick Rose is great. Then we have Brandon Jennings off the bench, who it's funny, when we were going into free agency, I was saying to myself, I'll be happy if we get Courtney Lee and Brandon Jennings. That's what I was thinking. And then I was thinking that the one trade chip we have is Robin Lopez. And I did not want to see him go. But I understand to make certain moves, you have to do certain things. You have to give up things that you don't want to give up. So, Calderon, Grant, Derrick Rose, Jennings. Tremendous upgrade. That is a tremendous upgrade. And there's no doubt about that. Again, how many times Calderon had openings but could not penetrate to the basket, could not make a move to the hoop. Derrick Rose and Jennings can do that. They will do that. How about pushing the ball? He can't go coast to coast. Derrick Rose and Jennings can go coast to coast. So we know that's a definite upgrade. I love Grant, but again, Brandon Jennings, who Grant is replacing, has a career average of 15 points a game. He's a proven NBA vet, period. Okay, let's look at shooting guard. Aaron Aflalo, good player. If you look at Aaron Aflalo and Courtney Lee, and if you just look at stats, you might say Aaron Aflalo is slightly better. He averaged more points, things like that, but it's more than that. He's not better than Courtney Lee. Courtney Lee is a by far better defender. He's more athletic, which is very important. Sometimes athleticism makes up for mistakes. And even though he's over 30, he's still athletic. He gets up and down the court, and he can knock down that three. And then also, he doesn't have the same ego as Aaron Aflalo. Aaron Aflalo, he really, at one point, I'm sure that confidence has served him well in his career. But there was times last year where he just took some bad shots, just did some bad post-ups. And one thing I realized about Aaron Aflalo, if he has a bigger athletic guy on him, he can't do nothing. He can't back him down and shoot over him. He can't get by him. He's just useless at that point. And there was a lot of times that we ran into that. Like he can't do nothing against a guy like DeRozan or just somebody who's big and athletic. He struggles. Now, Courtney Lee, on the other hand, he's not going to do much against these guys either, just to be fair. However, he's going to play his role. He's going to stay in his spots. He's going to play his role. And he's also going to get some fast break, easy baskets, easy buckets. I can see that happening. So that's 2 upgrades. Actually, 3 upgrades because you're counting Grant. Small forward, you still have Carmelo coming off an Olympic year. You know, Olympic Melo. Everybody knows when he comes off those Olympic years, he has really good years. He's a year removed from his knee injury. Okay. He looks fairly healthy. Now you got Porzingis coming into his second year, who knows what to expect in his first year. And he actually played more minutes than most people expected. He was a better player than most people expected. And he's coming in for his sophomore season. And let me tell you something about Porzingis. There's a chance he might be an all-star this year. First of all, that position is thin in the NBA right now. Power forward center is in the East, it's pretty thin. You know, they're going to have LeBron playing power forward. That usually happens, or Carmelo in the All-Star game playing power forward. But Kristaps has a chance to make it. You know, I always say, what's his competition? Al Horford, Paul Millsap, now Dwight Howard. So he has some competition. But if the Knicks are winning games, he's going to get strong consideration. And he might be the X factor. He's the one thing that no matter what, no one can account for because you really don't know what to expect. You know. And then we go to the center. So basically, I believe that let's just go back with Melo and Porzingis. Are those 2 players who were on the Knicks last year, are they upgrades from their previous season? And I would have to say yes. Even though Melo's a year older, I think he's also a year removed from that knee injury. And Porzingis is going into his second year. So I think that's 2 more improvements. And now you got the center position. Is Noah an improvement from Robin Lopez? Now, this is a tough one. This is kind of a break even. I'm going to say that I think Noah's a better fit for what the Knicks want to do. As far as a better player, I'm not going to say that right now in his career. I have to see again. But there's certain things that he brings to the table that Robin Lopez does not bring to the table. Robin Lopez started developing a low post game. He started being able to score and do little hook shots and things like that. But he never really was a playmaking center, which is actually needed in Phil Jackson's triangle system and even in Jeff Hornacek's system. To have a big man who can set up the offense at the top of the key as well as Noah, averaging 3 to 4 assists a game. He's going to be like that glue guy on offense. You can't ignore that. And if he's healthy, now remember, he doesn't have a knee injury. He had a shoulder injury. That was the big injury. And if he's healthy, he's a terror on those pick and rolls. He could switch and guard that man. Look at that shot blocking ability down low between Rose and Noah, and rebounding ability. That's just ridiculous. He doesn't need the ball. He's not going to clog the paint. He knows where he needs to be on the court. He really has a high IQ, and he's a hell of a leader. Now, that's just the starting 5. Now, let's go to the bench. We have Lance Thomas, which Lance Thomas, we know he's a tough player and a very good role player. I'm just worried about his health and can he handle the minutes he's about to get, because he's about to get big minutes this year. If he can do that, and I believe he could do that, then is he better than last year? He could just be the same as last year, really. He doesn't have to be better. Again, we already spoke of Brandon Jennings. We got Justin Holiday off the bench. Again, I'm not going to have high expectations for him. I hope that he does well. I hope he can shoot the 3 at a high clip and play some good defense. 3-and-D type of guy. If more, that'd be great. I don't know what to expect from him in the NBA. He looked pretty good in the Olympics. He's 6'9". He runs the floor. He loves to get in the paint. He seems like a tough guy. I can't wait to see what he can do in the league. And again, remember, when you got a dynamic point guard like Derrick Rose and a player like Jennings, he's going to create openings for players that, especially players that can run with them. So I'm looking forward to that. Kylo Quinn. Is he going to be an upgrade over himself last year? I mean, it shouldn't take much. But he's just adding bench depth. I don't really think he's going to get that much play. I think, like Jeff Hornacek said, if they're going to go to like a half-court offense, he might get some play. He has some low post move. He has some low post game. He has a nice little jump shot, things like that. He's a decent passer, even though he takes risks with his pass sometimes. You know, then we got Willie, pronounced Billy, Hernan Gomez, who, again, he's a young player. He looked good in the Olympics, but again, he may be a really good NBA player one day, a good rotation player. Who knows? He could be possibly a star. I don't know. But I'm not the type of guy who judges players based off of their play in other leagues. I didn't know if Porzingis was going to be good. I couldn't judge him. I don't judge the college players unless sometimes the talent is obvious. Sometimes, I remember when I did first see Porzingis, his workouts, the first thing that popped in my mind, I was like, whoa, he's kind of nasty when he do his little dunks. He's not the regular Euro guy. That's the first thing that popped in my head. I didn't know if he was going to be good. And I'm going to be honest, when it was time for Phil Jackson to draft, I was intrigued by Porzingis, but I didn't want them to draft him. I wanted Moutier. I'll be clear. I was on record. I was all over Twitter. I wanted Moutier, who I think is going to be a good player. But, I'm glad Phil drafted Porzingis because I think he can be a once-in-a-lifetime type player. That good. Yes. So, anyway, that's basically their bench. I'm not going to go any deeper than that because what's going to happen is basically most teams play 8 to 9 guys a game. That's just how they do it. You know, you're going to have Lance Thomas playing probably about 25 to 30 minutes. The same goes for Brandon Jennings. You know, then everybody else is going to be like 2 other guys probably going to be around 15, things like that. They're going to balance it out. But most of the time, they're going to stagger the starting lineup. So at any given time, most coaches, I don't know if all coaches do this. They probably won't I hope they don't make mass substitutions. But at any given time, you should have either Derrick Rose, Carmelo, Porzingis, Noah, even Lee. Like on any given time, you're going to have a combination of 2 of those guys on the court. Like you might have Derrick Rose and Noah on the court at the same time. You might have Melo or Porzingis on the court at the same time. They're gonna always have somebody. And then you have Jennings off the bench, who at times, if Derrick Rose is balling, you're gonna see Brandon Jennings playing the 2 guard or Derrick Rose playing the 2 guard. It doesn't really matter because in the triangle system, they don't have point guards. There's guard, forward, center. So this offense is good. I'm going to say about the triangle offense that I don't hear people say. To make the triangle offense work, your 2 guards, you need one that can penetrate, that can create his own shot, and one that's a knockdown shooter. If you look at all his teams, it was Jordan and Paxson, Jordan and Kerr. It was Kobe and Derek Fisher. And, it's always been that way. You need a guy in the post, but you always needed a penetrator and someone who can shoot it. One can create a shot and one who can open up space with a jump shot. So if that's what I'm looking at, Cliff. I don't know why Courtney Lee is going to spread the floor. And actually, the Knicks have shooters in that starting lineup is going to score some points. I just got to say. So based on that analysis, I don't see how the Knicks go from 32 to just 38 wins. And by the way, that was a marked improvement from 17 wins. So I don't see how the Knicks go from 32 and just win 6 more games with that much If they was bringing back the same team, then maybe. But to me, I think they're showing a little disrespect to someone like Derrick Rose, who's actually only 27 years old. May not be the old Derrick Rose dunking on people, but you got to understand the kind of athleticism he had. It was ridiculous. If he just has some of that, it's still ridiculous. Look at his clips from last year, how he was just getting by every guard in the league. He wasn't finishing well because he has to adjust to his body. And he has to put less torque on his body because he does a lot of twisting and stuff. Once he figures that out, he should be good. So, first of all, I believe the Knicks will win over 38 games. I expect this squad, with the talent they have, I expect this squad to win. I'm expecting them to win about 50 games. I think they should be around the 50 win mark. 45 to 50 to 55. I really believe that. I really believe they can be that good because we're not talking about young players. We're talking about players who are experienced and who are used to winning in the NBA. Say what you want about Melo, but he made the playoffs every year until the last few years with the Knicks. Derrick Rose was a part of a 60-win team. Matter of fact, not too long ago, they took Cleveland to 6 games. You know, Noah's used to winning. Why? I knew that was going to happen again. Courtney Lee was on the Memphis teams that made them deep runs every year. These players have expectations of being good, of being great. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm looking for them to have a home court in the first round. And I just want to see Carmelo. It's the funniest thing is I just want to see Carmelo back in the playoffs, man. Y'all forget how devastating a player and scorer he is. And now he's going to have help? Y'all just don't really understand how good he is. And I want Melo to have that chance to shine on the world's biggest stage. I'm so looking forward to that. Even if the Knicks don't win a championship during his time here, I just want him to have deep playoff runs so people can appreciate the greatness of this young man, of this man. But anyway, we can start getting hyped for the season. It's coming. It's going to be upon us before you know it. There's going to be so much hot takes. Can't believe it. So you're going to get one of these podcasts. I might double up eventually. You can find these podcasts on lifeculturesports.com/Knicks Home Court. You can go to YouTube and you can visit Knicks Home Court page. You can go to Facebook page and visit Knicks Home Court. This is episode number 9. And in the near future, as the season's coming up, I'm going to put up the archives on iTunes. You can also find me on iTunes. And on iTunes, I only have one Knicks episode up on there. And that's because I have been doing the episodes and then I got on iTunes. So at first I was just posting them on YouTube. So now I'm going to backlog them just to get, I have basically the whole free agency and things, my opinions based on free agency and different other topics. I'm going to put those up sometime in the near future as the season comes on. So 1 week you might look and you start seeing episode 1, 2, and 3. Then you might see 4, 5, and 6. I just want to get all of those up there. I'm going to mark it as archives and I'm going to put the dates on them so you're not hearing somebody in a time warp or something like that. Like And I'm just super excited for the season. I know everybody else is. They have all these hype videos out there. We about to get this popping. It's about to be crazy. And I don't even know what else to say. I'm excited. Word up. I know everybody's excited. They playing that 2K, getting all worked up, using the Knicks. But anyway, that brings me to the end of this episode of Knicks Home Court. I am your host, Greg Armstrong, and the music in this podcast has been brought to you by bensound.com. Until next time, Knicks Home Court. Peace.